Hi, so today I wanted to talk a little bit about giving up. Now, the reason I bring this up is because a lot of what I try to do on this channel is motivate other people, and I want to motivate other people to succeed in areas where I've often failed. And one thing I think gets missed is that failure itself is not the end. See, giving up, I define giving up as your personal threshold for failure. So there are only so many times the average person can fail. There are only so many times the average person can feel the pain of failure before they actually give up. But what I want people to understand is that you're allowed to fail as many times as you want. It doesn't matter. Like, people think, oh, I try and I try and I try, but I finally failed, so that was it. And it's not even about the trying. It's that you can fail so many times at something. And that, in and of itself, does not mean that you're done. You're only done when you've reached your personal threshold for failure. And I want you to understand that your personal threshold for failure in a given field is something that you have absolute control over. And the thing on this channel that really gets me, and the thing that I should probably have done differently from the beginning, you get to see all my successes. You get to see all the things that work. You get to see the fact that I have a store. You get to see the fact that I have employees. You get to see the fact that, I fuck up sometimes when I'm doing the board repair videos, but for the most part, I fuck up minimally. I mean, I fuck up in maybe 5% of the videos I've posted were boards that were unfixable. And when I do screw up, I always fix it. But you don't get to see when I screw up and I can't fix it. You don't get to see the things that you don't get to see all the boards that I destroyed. I mean, there were these boards that were all considered no fix from a vendor that I used to outsource to. So these were all boards that were pretty much in the shit pile anyway, but they were not fixable. But what I did is I wanted to learn BGA rework, and I got this Soldering Irons 6000. It was a total piece of crap. The reason I say that is because you could run the same profile on the same board 10 different times, and it will reach melting temperature literally there will be a 90-second difference between this run and this run. Then a 2-minute difference between this one and this one. Then a 3-minute difference between this one and this one. I'm not talking about the difference between January and August. I'm talking about on the same day in the same room. Whereas with the Zalma that I have, it's like the profile is like within seconds every single time, which is just crazy. Like, even when temperature changes occur, it's within seconds every single time. It's amazing. But I was working with this machine, and I must have went through 35 fucking boards and just delaminated and sodomized and skull-fucked every last one. And just popcorn, delamination, everything. And you don't see that. You don't see all those boards I went through. All you see is my 2-hour GPU repair, where it worked. Now, in that 2-hour GPU repair video I did with the Zalma rework station, you get to see that I fucked one or two things up. Again, the chip dropped onto the board, the solder spool dropped and turned the machine off. But that's not really failure. That's just comic relief at my expense, which sucked. But still, like, you get to see that, but you don't get to see the 35 boards before that were completely fucked to shit. And again, those were scrap boards anyway, but it still would have got the point across to you that those scrap boards were boards that I could have at least replaced the chip on properly rather than destroyed. You don't get to see when I was sitting up for 5 hours trying to figure out what was causing something to not work for me to realize that it was some kind of strange RTC circuit fault. So you get to see in a video where I'm explaining everything in a way that makes sense. So I'm logically saying this goes to this and this goes to that. But what you're not seeing is when I sat there for 5 hours trying to figure it out. At the end of the day, I figured out shit. I made the problem worse. I took a cab home at 5 in the morning. And I felt like I was a complete failure. But the reason that I was able to get where I am right now is because I was able to accept a ridiculously high threshold of failure, whereas most people are going to give up when they fail. I have to fail. If I am determined to succeed at something, I have to fail a lot more than other people do before I actually decide to give up. So I failed. It was worse. I felt like complete shit. I got home at 5 in the morning. I spent money on a fucking cab. I wasted money on food out that I wouldn't have because all the grocery stores were closed. It felt like shit. You know, there's no way around it. People can laugh, but when you fail at something, it sucks balls. And I failed, but I didn't let that get to me. The next day, I just said, hey, I'm just going to try the same thing again. And then the next day, it just becomes obvious. Oh, it's this. Why the fuck did I realize that yesterday? And now I know. So now I'm never going to go through that 5 hours again because I figured it out. And it was that way for so many different things. I remember at Avatar Studios. This is another one. So I guess I don't really have to worry about employment in the music business anymore. So I guess it's okay to tell stories like this. I remember being at a point where, like, I just got hired at my minimum wage junior tech level job. I was so happy and excited. And what happened is there was a session that came in 18 hours early from when they were supposed to come in. And because it was a big famous artist and blah, 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 they're just allowed to do that kind of thing. And of course the studio billed them. And we bring a tape machine up there and we try to align and bias the tape machine and it's not working. And then we figure out that a power supply is dying, so we switch out the power supply, and then we start from scratch, and they don't want to wait, so we just say, okay, I give up. And I feel like I failed there. And then at the end of the say, when they're done, we decide to go back up there and figure it out. It's like, stop that. It was like 5 or 6 in the fucking morning. And I had finally gotten to a point where we figured out, myself and the other guy there, that the tape machine was killing the power supplies. We finished carrying everything up and down, up and down. We finally troubleshooted everything, biased, aligned the Studer 800. Everything was beautiful. And the next day, they say that they don't want us in the room anymore. Do you know why? Because there's this, I don't know if it's a button for mic and line or if it's for monitor and record. I forget what the buttons are for. And because it's been 8 years since I've seen this console, it was a Neve VRP. Again, I don't know if it's monitor or record. I think it's a setting where like you're either monitoring from the tape machine and you're monitoring from the mic inputs. It's some button on the middle of the Neve VRP. And one is green and the other is red. And we had to go back and forth between what we were monitoring because we were trying to monitor the it was like monitor from tape machine and monitor the mics because we kept it stuck on tape machine. And with a preset session, the whole idea is regardless of what work you do, if the coffee mug was knocked over on the table and spilling coffee this way, when they come back in, it had better literally still be on the table, knocked over, spilling coffee this way. If it's spilling coffee this way now, you're probably fired. That's the way preset sessions work in the professional broadcast industry. So at the end of the day, that one button wasn't hit. I stayed for 5 or 6 hours of overtime. I was dead for college the next day. I felt like, stop it, you little mother. Stop screwing with shit. Clinton? Come here, Clinton. Cats. And it just didn't go well. So, the next day they're like, oh, we don't want these people in the room anymore. That was a failure. When I tried to change my first bus switch on a console, and there were a lot less pads on the bus module than there were before, that was a failure. When I went home after a 14 or 16-hour workday that I was getting minimum wage for, and they say that we don't want those 2 people who were around in the room last night, even though they would be recording to their goddamn cell phone if we weren't there to make this shit work by the time they got in, that felt like a failure. When I went through 35 fucking motherboards, and couldn't get one BGA chip soldered, that felt like failure. When I thought I figured out what was wrong with the board and it blew up in my face, that felt like failure. When I ran a business that started with a lot more money than this business, I talk about the supply company every now and then. When I talk about that supply company that started with way more money than my repair company started with, and how it literally just ran into the ground, that was failure. And most people would give up after that. Most people would give up after being told by a famous artist and producer, we don't want this guy in the room anymore because when he's in the room, the green button is hit instead of the red button on the console. Which, by the way, an engineer who knows his shit, it literally would have taken, again, green, red button. This is the part where I'm allowed to say this because I don't work in the music business anymore. If you're a recording engineer that actually knows how to use a fucking console like the VRP, you'll be able to see the difference between the red button and the green button, and that's literally the first thing you will check for before the producer can even finish his sentence into saying, why don't I hear? Oh, good engineer. Why don't I hear? Oh. You notice that. Not like go do, do, do for 10 minutes until you finally have to find somebody who knows what they're doing to tell you, oh, you're in the wrong goddamn mode. Yeah, I hit the wrong button. It's 5 in the morning. Fuck you. But I digress. Memories. But the point here is, man, when I failed so many fucking times. You know what I did about it? I just came back and tried again. I didn't give up. I continued trying. I would walk out of the studio after my 16 or 18-hour workday with the minimum wage or the other internship where I was working for free. I'd have Tori Amos's Little Earthquakes playing in my headphones. And I would just listen to it because I think that was an amazing... Tori Amos, a lot of her music is really... It's kind of the soundtrack to dealing with any type of oppression. It's the soundtrack to dealing with and overcoming disappointment, to overcoming what other people project onto you. So if somebody else is projecting failure onto me, or I'm projecting failure onto myself, or the motherboard that I'm working on is trying to beat me down and laugh at me, I listen to her music and I just, for some reason, I just stop caring about failure. It's like I almost become proud of failure because I'm just proud of who I am, and I don't care if who I am is not even something I feel I should be proud of. I just become proud of it anyway. That's what her music has always done for me, like the Little Earthquakes album and the Boys for Pele album and the one that has Baker on it is track 5, which I'm forgetting the name of, but the one that has Baker is track 5. That's a good album. And I would just listen to the Tori Amos album, and man, that music got me through so many of the fucked up times in my life. You guys really should actually find that. And by find, I don't mean fucking Usenet or BitTorrent. I mean actually buy it, because I don't know. I believe in buying music for artists that you actually like, that aren't steaming piles of shit. And I support Tori Amos, so I would support buying her music anyway. But off of that, I would listen to that stuff, and it would really help me out. And one of the things that where I'm kind of noticing this, and where it's coming up for me again, is with employees. And I always try to make, there are so many of these videos where I email myself and I have an idea for a video that I think is a good idea, and I think it's a topic that is related to this channel, but I don't really do the video on it until I actually feel inspired to, or until an event occurs. I don't want to just sit here and yammer into a fucking camera because that's what I get paid for. That's a really lame-ass way to run a YouTube channel. I want to talk to you when I actually see something come up that I genuinely believe is relatable, so that I can actually, speak from a standpoint of believing in what I'm telling you. I don't know if that made any sense, but yeah, anyway, so I've been trying, as people who've been following the channel know, again, I've been, for a very long time now, trying to find somebody to replace me at a lot of the things I do at my job. And it's harder than you think. Again, the problem that I run into is the people who are qualified to do what I do are out there as their engineers making their $250,000 to $750,000 a year. And the people who are willing to work for the wages that laptop repair and electronics repair support they're not going to look at a schematic and see the same thing that I am. So again, for those of you watching these videos who I guess, just got introduced to the channel, who are not really used to what it is I do, I might as well bring up one. So I will switch over to the screen capture here, and I will show you what's going on in the screen capture. So when I see this, I see a story. I may not understand what every single element in the story is about. I may not get exactly what's going on in every single point, and I may have to think a little bit. But when I see this, I see a story. And all the people that I try to hire, when they see this, they give me the look. And when I say the look, there was this one person that I go back and forth with, and when he has never even tried to get somebody to do this. And he says the reason is because every time I talk to them, they give me the look. Okay, I get that. It's the same look. I'm used to getting that look all the time. That's the look that I get when I ask a cute woman out on a date. It's the exact same look that I'm used to getting from people that I hire when I go over many of these concepts. They look at that document, and they do not see a story. See, even if I see a story that I don't understand in the beginning, I still see a story. It's just a story where I may be missing a certain element or maybe misinterpreting a certain element, but I see a story. I really do. And the problem is that a lot of the people that I hire don't. Again, you watch all these videos, and who is the one doing all the board repair? It's not somebody else. But I would like it to be somebody else someday because, again, it was a fun project, getting rid of the people we outsourced this to. But at the same time, it would be nice to literally have 2 or 3 weeks at a time where I just don't turn on a soldering iron, that would be fun. That would be awesome. Even if I cut down on work, every now and then I still got to go to work and I still got to think about this stuff. And sometimes I just don't want to think about this stuff. It is what it is. But yeah, so I would try to find people. And there was this one recent person that I thought showed great potential. It was a person who was a very nice person, very well spoken, very intelligent, very determined, very. They were just a good worldly individual, somebody who had experience in many different things. So they had a good worldview, they had a good head on their shoulders, good confidence. And then we would go over certain concepts. And what I try to do is I try to start with something really simple and easy to give people confidence, because I realize you have to have confidence every step of the way. And I would show how to do it, have you do it. Show how to do it, have you do it. Now, this is what you're doing wrong. And we go to the next thing. And what I noticed at every single juncture when something didn't go right, there was and I know what that look in the face is. It's that look of failure. It's that look where somebody says, I know I have failed. And the one thing that this person didn't have that I should be looking for when I do job interviews, the one thing this person was missing a high threshold for failure. Now, one thing I will admit completely is that I was most likely putting in a half-assed teaching job. Because since I hired this person, over the past couple of weeks, I've had a lot of students coming. Some of these people have come locally, some have come from Florida, some have come from New York, some have come from halfway around the fucking world to come here and learn board repair. I have to give them a good experience. I have to make sure that they understand what I'm talking about. I have to make sure they're not just yesing me to death. I have to make sure that when I say, this is how I want you to solder something, that I'm actually staring at the monitor while they're soldering for a half hour, and then making sure they actually did it. Sometimes I'm going to look away because, frankly, it just gets boring to watch soldering. But overall, I have to keep watching that because I have to make sure that they're learning. And that is work. That making sure that somebody's boards, who, when they come for a class like this, get fixed, that's work. At the end of work, I want to do what most people want to do at the end of work. I don't want to work anymore. So when I was done with work, which was teaching, I just wanted to rest. But the reality is now I start my second set of work, which is teaching the new person. So I probably I was going through the motions like I usually do, and I was going through the motions like I do with the student, but something just didn't feel right. I just didn't feel like I was putting in the effort that I do for the actual students. And the issue here is but what I really noticed was that mindset of a low threshold for failure. And I'm going to admit, maybe this person was not meant for this. They're meant to do great other things with their life, because, again, she was a very, very smart woman. It's just things just didn't click. Again, it was just things like, why is this chip not melting even when I'm at max temperature and I have it right over the chip and the board is preheated? Or what am I doing wrong? And I honestly wouldn't know what it is. It's one of those things where it's like, I can show you a million times and I can explain to you the theory, but you have to understand the dynamics of like where your hand is and how you're controlling the thing that you're heating yourself. And that requires trying, and that requires screwing around, and that requires failing, and then failing enough times that you know what not to do so that you eventually come to the conclusion of what to do. But the thing is, you kind of need a high threshold for failure for that. And I didn't notice that that's one of the things that I need to be looking for in a job interview. I need to find somebody who has such a high threshold for failure that they have absolutely no problem, they have no decreased feeling of self-worth going through 35 fucking boards and not doing a damn thing right before they get to one where they do something correct, like I did when I was working on the scrap boards with that piece of shit Scodel. And I just saw the looks in the face. I saw the look, and I decided, instead of realizing that we are making no progress, I want to see what happens here. And the reason is because for all the sadness I saw in this person's face, they're actually learning a little bit faster than I was in the absolute very beginning when I started working on electronics. So I decide I'm not going to be discouraging. I'm going to keep giving little tasks that I feel can be built upon. We're going to work on this, but I was never able to overcome that look on that person's face. I was never able to overcome the... You know the look. You know the look if you've ever tried to train somebody to do this. I felt like I was never able to overcome that. And I honestly don't know how to overcome that. Maybe that's one of my failings as a teacher, one of my failings as an employer. But I can overcome a lot of things in teaching a lot of people how to do this type of stuff. But that's one thing that I feel unfit to overcome, is somebody's own personal tolerance for failure. and their own personal lack of confidence. All I can do is explain jokingly how many times I failed in the pursuit of doing something right. And I can explain to them that it doesn't matter how many times they fail, because each time they fail, they're learning they're learning what not to do. But that's really the extent that I go with it. And eventually, you know, they quit. And I said to myself, I want to see how far this goes. I'm not going to fire this individual. I'm not going to lay off this individual. I'm going to see how far the average person's threshold for failure is before they give up. And what I realized with this experience and two of the experiences I had with the two people that I tried hiring before this is that the average individual's threshold for failure is scarily low. Really, really, really low. And I realized that. And, you know, the thing is, a lot of people on this, the reason I bring it up is because a lot of people on this channel, there's a cat behind me. I saw eyes on the screen. Hi, Blackberry. Good girl. A lot of people on this channel say, wow, you're a genius. How did you learn this? What books do I read? This all started from the Reddit and Dig thing when I started getting all these new subscribers. You're a genius. Man, I wish I could figure things out like you. Oh, you're a genius. Oh my God, you're so smart and intelligent. Oh wow, you're a great engineer. And I'm laughing at all this. Man, I'm no engineer. I'm not that smart. I don't know more than you. I'm not better than you. You know the one difference between me and you? The one difference there is between me and you is that my threshold for failure is stupidly high. I can fail at something over and over and over again. I can be an idiot millions of times before I get something right and I don't give up. That's all there is to it. It's just not giving up. And the key to not giving up is just not caring how many times you fail, not letting it get to you, not becoming depressed, not letting your emotions come into the mix. If I let my emotions get into the mix when I was working at Avatar, man, I would have quit on day fucking 2. Working at Avatar Studios really set the stage for my professional development. It not only set the stage for just how I deal with clients, how I deal with people with this in the service industry with this of-service mentality that I am here to read your mind and fix your problem. It also set the stage for my electronics troubleshooting mindset. I learned so much there that I could never hope to have learned anywhere else. Like Avatar Studios is that place, that internship, and the job that I got there after that internship has made me the man that I am today in many ways. I loved it, but even for all the things that sucked. But the thing is, if I would have been gone on day 1 if when I felt that feeling of failure, when I felt that feeling come upon my face, I let it get to me. You just, again, go back to that video I did on failure from just a few months ago where I was talking about how people assume the worst possible thing is going to happen. I did not do this task right, therefore the boss will hate me. The boss will hate me, therefore he will be mad at me. He will be mad at me, therefore he will fire me. He will fire me, therefore I will be unemployed. I will be unemployed, therefore I will not be able to pay my rent. I will not be able to pay my rent. I will be on the street. And when I see that look in somebody's face, when I see that look as they're failing, what I see is I see all those thoughts going through their head. And what I suggest in that video is to simply realize that there are 5 different ways anything can go. He could be mad, or he could be kind of mad but laugh because it's funny, or he could wind up actually agreeing with you or he could wind up, maybe the case is he set you up to fail because he wants to show his superiors how dumb the idea that they gave him is. There are so many different things that could happen in every single situation. Or even if he does get mad. Maybe he gets mad and he blows up and his boss fires him and promotes you. Like, there are so many different things that could happen in every situation, and people always jump to the worst possible case scenario, and they use that worst case scenario to just build themselves up and feel like they're failing more and more and more, and then they just get all depressed, and then they fucking give up. And that's the thing. It's like so many people just give up at the end because they see the world in that pessimistic worldview. Like, if I thought to myself, oh my God, Brendan O'Brien doesn't want me in the room anymore while he's recording because because Nick DiDia couldn't find the damn button on the console from monitoring what's on the tape machine versus monitoring what's on the microphone. They don't want me in the room anymore. Oh no. Oh, that means I'm going to lose my job. Oh, that means nobody's ever going to want to work with me in the music business. Oh, that means I'm not going to get to learn anything from the good electronics repair people. That means that I'm going to have to go back to Motel Sporting Goods and put price tags on basketballs. Do you think I would have fucking gotten anywhere? No! I would not have gotten anywhere. I would have fucking failed, and for good. I would have given up, but I didn't. I thought, what if fuck that session that I just pretended didn't happen and try to do my best by everybody else using the studio. Or what if I wind up losing my job over that, but I still got this job at this other place? Or, you gotta look at all the what ifs. And when you look at all the what ifs, you're gonna realize that it's not that fucking bad. So the whole thing I wanna get across with this video, I want every single person watching this, if they're in the pursuit of something they believe in, that they truly believe has fucking merit to it, like a real task, have a higher threshold for failure than the average human being. Because I noticed the average threshold for failure for the average human being is so incredibly fucking low. They fail, they get the look on their face, and when they get the look on their face, it's all over from there, and they give up. Failure is something that you can't control. But giving up is something that you can control. You don't have to give up just because you failed. You can fail and fail and fail and fail and fail again and have a smile on your face so long as you have a high threshold for failure, so long as you listen to Tori Amos's Little Earthquakes, and so long as you have the right mindset. That's all I have to say for today. And do you have anything to say today, Blackberry? What do you have to say to our studio audience? You want to bite the microphone? Maybe you want to bite the microphone. Who's a good girl? Oh, jeez. Look at all the fur coming off you. Oh, my, you are an 11-pound fur ball. My other kitty, Mr. Clinton, is a 24-pound fur ball. Nuzzle the micro. Good kitty. You break that $600 to $300 microphone. Good girl. That's what you do. You destroy audio electronics. And you destroy acoustic panels. Nuzzle. Who's a good kitty? Who's my girl? Good kitty. I went out with somebody about 8 months ago that kicked my cat. Blackberry is one of the shyest kittens you'll ever meet when it comes to meeting people. Like my other cat, Mr. Clinton, will run up on people and go, "Rah!" Blackberry will sit and hide behind the speaker and try to blend in with it and look out and go, "Rah!" if they look at her. She is so scared of other people. She says so. And this one woman, she finally walks up and she goes, "Meep." And then she nuzzles her ankle. And after Blackberry nuzzles her ankle, the girl goes, and fucking kicks her. She was cute, too. In my apartment, wearing something nice. And just 3 minutes after she kicked my cat, she was outside looking for a cab to go home. You got to be loyal. You have to be loyal to the people or the kittens in your life that deserve it. If you have it in you to be mean to an animal, then I don't have it in me to have you in my life. It was so fucked up because for like 3 months after that, she didn't say hi to anybody. She finally, just now, if I have company over my apartment, will walk out to other people and say hi. See this? This is a comfortable kitty. This is a kitty that is showing me its belly, is going, ew, is smiling. How could anybody be mean to a kitty like this? I don't get it. And that's it for today.